We're a day late, Dave, but welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
Hold
I
on a
don't even have any
second.
idea
We
what.
got we're all off. I mean, you're probably trying to watch the game right now.
I
Kyron
know.
Williams
Somebody just
already
scored and I don't
scored.
even know who it was.
Somebody just now
We're
did.
just, yeah, somebody scored.
It's probably Sam Darnold throwing another touchdown. Freaking racking second sons of.
Let's, I think, I think you might be right. Let's just
Oh.
see. Yeah, some guy named Trent Sherfield Sr. I don't even know who that is.
I
You
mean,
know Trent Sherfield Sr. He was
hey,
highly touted on draft day.
but just FYI, I called it in chat before it ever happened. I said, I mean, literally, when I hit enter, Darnold threw his first touchdown. So it's like, I don't know what to say.
Did you have any thoughts of activating Puka and starting him?
Well, so you want to get into that now, or do you want to do awards and we'll get into?
That's true. We got more to cover. I don't even know where you were. Where were you at for 2 days?
So I was at a
And don't say
executive.
trout fishing.
I was not trout fishing. I was at an executive team retreat for White Oak Christian Church. I was outside of Oldenburg, Indiana, and there's a place called the Springs, and it's a lake. It's like 4 little cabins, and it's like a little meeting center. And so we planned the next 10 years of our church, and then I was like, yeah, let's see how much damage I can do in the next decade. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, I have some thoughts on that that'll come later.
Okay.
All
So,
right, awards.
yeah, awards. I mean, I
Yeah.
got to eat at the Brawl House today. That's not Junior, not
It's
that kind
spelled
of brawl.
okay. I was gonna
BRAU. Yeah,
okay.
not
All
that kind of
right.
brawl,
Yeah.
Junior. The Brawl House. One
Now
of
that
the
would be
top. Hey,
an
listen.
interesting place to eat.
Yeah, yes. On They are known for their chicken breasts. Just I'm saying. But their pork tenderloin sandwich is on the Indiana Pork Tenderloin Trail. So one of 8 must-eat pork tenderloin sandwiches. It's the kind where the bun is normal size and then the pork tenderloin like hangs out on the sides of it like a foot.
Okay. Kunkel's does that in Connersville.
Yeah. So,
I'm
but
going to
yeah.
go out
Oh,
on a limb here, Kevin, and
yeah.
say at some point in his life, Junior has made the phone call to Kentucky Fried Chicken and asked them how large are their breasts. I bet he
Yeah.
has.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I didn't know. You think does he swing that way?
Well, yeah, well, that's a topic for another day.
All right.
That's a
All
whole
right.
different
We
podcast.
got some awards.
Yes, man, there were some, as always, some possibilities. It's like one of those, should LeBron have got the MVP every year kind of thing,
Yeah.
so I just, I'm kind of over Travis and all his 150 point wins and all that. So I'm going with somebody that had a big bounce back week to keep himself at the top, and that's Brian.
Okay.
Scored 64 points week 6. This week he gets 117, I think, and comes right back into prominence, and he's back at the top, amongst the top. He's third place. So good job, Brian. He's got a strong team. He did trade away some depth uh, this week, which we're not all happy about. But hey, you do what you got to do. They wasn't doing him any favors on his bench, and so now he's got a wide receiver. So he's only gotten himself better.
Yeah.
So good job, Brian. It's all you.
So for the hillbilly, I mean, like we've got a lot of different, honestly, I wouldn't say we actually, this was a week where a lot of teams scored better.
Yeah.
There was only, because we got, several close ones. Andy versus Rennie, super close, both over 100. Lee versus Adam, super close, both over 100. Heimtime versus Ratty, Ratty almost gets to 100. Brian over 100 by 117. You just mentioned him. And
Yeah.
so it's really between like Junior and Sundance. And
Yeah.
and man, as much as I'd love to give it to Junior, I've got to give it to Brennan for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One, he scored the least amount of points. I mean, 58 is pretty pathetic. But two, if he scores anything, what happens, Dave? You lose. I mean, you only scored 74.
Yeah,
74
that was a pretty
points,
bad week for me.
So, if I looked it up, this just me looking it up, there were, I think, 6 defenses that he could have played other than the Jets that get him a win, maybe more. Okay. So it's like, and I know nobody thought that Pittsburgh was going to put up monster numbers like that, but Russell cooked.
But that game, you start off with 10 points, and then he ends up with, which he had a 5-point lead, which means I would have had to get at least 5 points out of 2 wide receivers, which seems easy, but it wasn't, because I didn't, and at least I don't think I did. And then he goes -5. That's brutal.
Yeah, brutal. But we said it's not, being the hillbilly isn't always that you did something wrong. Sometimes it's that like just something happens to you that, it's kind of like, well, that's kind of hillbilly-ish. You know what I mean? Like, so your defense doing mediocre all season long, and then all of a sudden tanking against the Steelers, like, that's pretty hillbilly. Needing 5 points to win, or what, winning, or needing more, and it's like, oh, they go -5, like, it's So I don't know. I probably misspoke. Not that he would have won, but like that there was like 6 or 8 defenses that like would have given him a chance, to be in the fight. You know what I mean? Like before. Do you have somebody that went Monday night? Is that?
I had two wide receivers. Yeah. And they both didn't do anything hardly.
Yeah. But but Brennan's got to get these points up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's active. He talks in chat. He's alive. He's got a pulse. I mean, this isn't an Ed situation. Yeah. We got to get, Daniel Jones, 5.8 points. Like, yeah. But here's the sad thing about this matchup between you and him is that his quarterback outscored yours.
Yeah. Although mine played like one drive, but
it's semantics, Dave. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Nobody feels sorry for me.
Yes. You got some thoughts about my week?
No, just you in general. So before we dig into football, I want to revisit something from last week.
Okay.
We talked, it got brought up, that I didn't have any clue, and still don't, of what Travis does for a living. And it made me realize that there's quite a bit of people in the, I don't know much about anybody in the league.
Oh, okay.
And so what I'm going to do is real quick, all 12 teams got some thoughts on, what they do for a living in a little segment I call I Can Only Assume.
I Can Only Assume.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
So we'll just go top down from, number 1 to 12. We'll start with Travis. So it's well documented last week. I have no idea what he does. Could be business, could be management. But I can only assume that he spends an inordinate amount of time talking to his supervisor about trying to get people hired that can do multiple positions in the company and fill multiple roles.
You think that he might be looking for individuals that in their career are a little bit flexible?
I think so, and I think he doesn't shut up about it to his boss.
Okay.
So that's him. Then
would he ever bring in a sheet of paper looking for people to vote on that?
He has done that in a board meeting. I'm sure he has.
Okay, I'm sure. Yeah.
So real quick, because we got 12 people to get through, and this isn't about football. So we'll go to Ed. All I know about Ed is at some point he was a pilot. I don't know if he still is a pilot or not. I don't know what he's doing now, but I can only assume that whatever he's doing, or whatever job he has, that up until this year, he's had a lot of times where he forgot to clock in and forgot to get assignments turned in on time.
Oh, okay. You think that in Ed's job in the past, not this year, but in the past,
I think this year he's probably clocking in every day.
That he only shows up. There's times where he just no shows, no call, no show. Where's Ed?
I think so, and there's precedent for that.
Yeah.
So So moving on to Brian. Again, I have no idea what Brian does, but whatever it is that he does, I can only assume that during the hours he's supposed to be working, he's actually making out lineups, putting together practices, and thinking about who's going to start for whatever team he's currently coaching.
Okay, so and we're talking youth sports here.
Yes. Yeah, he spends his work hours, unbeknownst to his boss,
Yes.
planning practices and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, and then we got me, which I know what I do. And I think people know that, years ago, I kind of switched gears. I used to try to help people with social services and all that. And then now I'm, doing pest killing stuff.
You left your
For-profit
liberal.
company.
You left your liberal
Yeah.
ways behind.
Yeah, which conventional wisdom would be like, all right, money grab.
Yeah.
But I can only assume that most people know that the real reason is that, I'm a furry with a specific rodent fetish.
Oh. Really?
Let that sink in a little bit.
Let me just ask a question. Does Michelle get upset about your litter box?
You can answer yes to does Michelle get upset? And there's
And
a
then,
myriad of things that follow that.
all right.
All right, moving on to Andy. Known Andy for a long time, so obviously I'm very aware that he's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And a very successful one by all accounts.
Yeah.
But I can only assume that the majority of his income comes after work hours with drugs.
Yeah. You think he's skimming off the top?
He's doing a few things. He has access, he has means, he's smart enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
So I would almost probably double whatever he's getting paid for his legitimate work with drugs in the evenings. It's double.
Okay.
Who's next here? We got Josh. If I remember right, I think Josh used to work for GE. I don't know if he still does. And it really doesn't matter because I can only assume that whatever he's doing, he gets to just sit in an office or a cubicle and basically do nothing and still get promotions and raises because people just like him.
Okay.
Does that
just
sound
for being
fair?
a nice guy.
Just for being himself.
Yep. I mean, who could get mad at that dude?
Exactly. Lee. Again, man, I'm really bad at getting to know people, I guess. I think Lee used to be in concrete. I don't know if he still is, but I can only assume that lunches are epic.
That'd be a tough day at work. You think he orders the whole chicken for lunch?
I think he does.
Yeah.
I think he does. I still, when I think of Lee, I still think of your birthday parties at the casino where he would eat like an ocean full of
Dude,
an ocean full of lobster.
Nobody's eaten more crab legs on a night than Lee did.
All right, who we got next? We got Rennie. Burrows before hose. Pretty obvious, we all know that he has tanning things and he has CrossFit. But I can only assume that those are fronts for his real nefarious dealings, whatever those are, that he hides all his money with in offshore accounts.
Okay. Yeah. What I think of Rennie when I watch the movie The Accountant, where like he's got all those like companies in the strip mall, and they're really just money laundering fronts for like his illegal activities.
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
All right,
that makes sense.
We got Junior.
Yeah.
I pretty well we've established. Didn't know where he taught. I think with LaSalle. Now we know where he teaches. So he's a teacher. I do know. That's one of the. It might be the first one.
Middle School.
See, I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, Delhi. I know nothing about anybody. So he's a teacher, but I can only assume that him being a teacher has nothing to do with him wanting to teach kids. It's only to be able to possibly participate in the faculty versus student dodgeball games.
Okay, yeah.
So he can bust Trevor right in the face.
And summers off.
So that might have something to do with it too.
Yeah.
But don't you have to be on at some point to be off? And he's.
When I think of Junior teaching, I can only think of The Hangover where he's collecting money for the field trip to go to Vegas. If Junior's a teacher, that's who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We come to you.
Yeah.
We come to you. Known you for a long time.
Yep.
And so here's where part where I alluded to.
Yeah.
So obviously I know that you're a cult leader.
Yes.
But I can only assume that you're not the kind of cult leader that gets to sleep with the young girls in the cult.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad. That's a different kind of cult leader.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Brings us to Adam. Maybe he still does. I think I have a memory of Hillrom in Batesville. I don't know if he still works there. He might not. I think Hillrom specializes in medical stuff, maybe hospital beds, devil worship, I think, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That they excel in. But I can only assume that staff meetings is where he brings his charts and graphs with the sole purpose to belittle fellow employees for how bad their performances are.
Yes.
that happens. What happens.
Yeah. When I think if Adam didn't work for Hillrom, another touchdown, Cooper Kupp looks like.
Dang.
Yeah. Guess Cooper Kupp's not getting traded this week.
Yeah, I guess not.
So, when I think of Adam at work, I think that if he wasn't working for Hillrom, he would probably really enjoy doing what George Clooney did in the movie Up in the Air.
Oh, yes. Firing people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wasn't going to.
And sleeping well at night doing.
Google it if you don't know what he did.
Adam, you have a conscience, you have a heart.
Yeah.
Lastly, but not leastly, and we got the Sundance Kid, Brennan. And I could be way off on this, but I have some vague memory of him as a child prodigy inventing an app that ends up getting sold to some dumb company for a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what he does now or what he's been doing for the last 10 years, but I can only assume, Kevin, that whatever it is, it involves him telling his new, current, wonderful wife that he has to go on a business trip over to Europe.
Yeah.
But those visits are really to see another wife that lives in France.
Oh, wow.
Because there's too much Brennan to go around for just one. We all know that.
Yeah. I understand. That's pretty good.
I guess the consensus here though is that outside of a couple people, I have no idea what people do for a living.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad, isn't it?
Well, hey, we don't talk about this much on the show. But hey, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. All right, hit that bell and jump into the chat either in the video or in GroupMe and tell us what you really do.
On all my ignorance. Do you know what everybody does? Oh gosh.
I have a good handle on what everybody does for a living.
Really?
So yeah.
What's Brian do?
Brian, so Brian works.
Does he fish? I don't know what he does.
Brian works for Kroger, but for a brand. So he doesn't actually work for the Kroger company. He works for he used to work like for Coca-Cola. So his like in cap stuff, marketing stuff, making sure that Kroger has but he's worked for
sounds made up to me.
I know. But so Brian works for he has worked for, I think at one point in time he might have worked for a beer company. He's worked for Coke. He's worked for a few of these different, but it's all his specialty is grocery stores and what they do. And so, Brennan.
And Travis? What's Travis do?
Travis drinks beer.
Okay. Well, somebody's got to do it, I guess.
Yeah. So, and makes trades.
He does do that.
Yeah.
So, maybe get on. Tell me what you do for a living because I have no idea. I do have some stats for us.
Oh, yeah, because we're midway through the season.
Yeah. Got some stats for us. So I looked at the top 3 positions, their skill positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. And I want to see who the top 3 are, kind of where they were drafted, and then, and see what that, how many people got drafted before him, how well we did. So quarterback, we got Lamar at 1, Baker Mayfield at 2 and Joe Burrow at 3. So both Lamar and Burrow were drafted in the 5th round. Baker wasn't drafted at all.
Yeah.
And there were 4 QBs taken before Lamar and Burrow. So
you're telling me that Rennie has 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks on his team?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't feel like that's too bad, that basically they were the 5th and 6th quarterbacks taken that are the 1st and 3rd. That's not.
Yeah.
I think we did pretty well on that. We as I'm not a part of it, but
yeah.
Other people did. Running back, actually not, maybe not so great, because we got Henry, we got Barkley, and we got Kamara. The old guard. Look at that. Like veterans,
Yeah.
And so Henry and Barkley were both in the 2nd round. So, but there were 8 running backs. 8 running backs taken before Barkley.
Yeah.
So, that's, and early in the season, halfway through, a lot could change, but, if we would have known, obviously you would have picked Henry before those other 8 people, and Barkley, Barkley before those other 8 people. Wide receiver, we did really well. We had Chase, was in the 1st round. He was the 4th pick, and he's the number 1. So that's pretty darn close. And Jefferson was the 10th pick. Godwin was the anomaly because he wasn't picked until the 5th round, but now he's going to drop because he's done.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to take his spot, but that's pretty good. And I think
there's some misses
pretty on par with wide receiver.
Yeah.
One of the top, a couple of the top for the 1st round wide receivers are going to be the top 2. It just seems to, they're good for a reason. Tight end is what a crapshoot tight end is. We didn't pick any, like the first tight end taken was Kelsey in the 4th round. And obviously he's at 21st overall. So I think he takes over the Mark Andrews problem, because he's not a problem anymore. And Andrews, because of one big game, is now the fifth best tight end after all that talk.
It's like I've been bashing Lee about him, and then like finally he just explodes.
Yeah. So like Kittle, George Kittle's 1, and he was, I think, in the 5th round, and then Bowers and Kraft, they were farther. But what a crapshoot tight end's been. So yeah, I feel like overall, our league drafted pretty well for halfway through.
Yeah, we've been talking about the biggest storyline of the season and of the draft is injuries, right?
Oh yeah.
Because Godwin now, he did great and he probably has helped, but I think the thing that separates like Travis from everybody else is that of all the people you just named, he has Henry, he has Chase.
Yeah, that kind of, that math, that adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So on that front, to touch more stats is, I always like to bring it up, especially, if I'm really high in one category, but the points for, points against. Yeah. Obviously, Travis is all world on points for. He's way at the top, but he's been benefited. He's pretty high on the not very many points against either. So, whereas Ed has not scored a ton, but he also is very high, like low, whatever you want to say, low points again. I think he's 2nd. So that, you rise to the top when people don't score very well against you, but Travis has definitely earned it more than Ed,
Yeah.
A win's a win, but the points against is in their favor. Yeah. The 3rd most points, the lowest points against that should be doing better than they are, that'd be you there, Kevin. You have not taken advantage of the first half of the season having the 3rd lowest points scored against, and so where do you go from here?
Well, it's probably because while I've only had 596 points scored against me, I've only scored 601 points.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Adam could have a gripe because he's pretty darn high on points against him.
Almost 750.
He hasn't overcome that by scoring himself. He's pretty low on that. So, But that's starting to change. He's scored pretty well 2 weeks in a row. So,
Why do you think that is?
that could.
You have a theory on why Adams suddenly climbing the standings and why he's had a resurgence in point scoring?
Just think he had some issues at the beginning. He had some picks that didn't pan out, and he's had to make some moves, and
So it doesn't have
it's
anything to do
worked.
with me rooting for him.
No, I want it to have something to do with you so I can hate you, but it
Okay.
doesn't.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think, and then there's the whole logjam in the middle of a bunch of people with about the same points for, points against, and it's just a matter of who you play, wrong person at the wrong time. Like, obviously I did not deserve to win this week. I could make a pretty good case that the last week when I get over 100, I probably could have won that week and I didn't. So you just never know.
Yeah.
I was rewarded this week for my bad beat. I don't know. I can't really say it was a bad beat because he scored more points. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. So you were asking some questions about, so I went on that trip. We couldn't do the podcast yesterday. We apologize. We're coming in a little late. We've got both
Yep.
Dave's at a hotel. I'm finally
I
back
am.
home. The TV's on. We've got, Rams Vikings is actually happening
Yeah,
right now. So this
week
feels
week
weird. We
8 has
like,
already started, Kevin, and we're
yeah,
still
yeah.
recapping.
So I got home today from this retreat thing I was at about 2:30 or 3 o'clock, and I checked my lineup and I made sure that everything was all squared away with it. And at that time, Puka Nakua was still on IR. And
Okay.
then I did some stuff and was messing around with something. And then I had a Zoom call for work from 5 to 6. And somewhere around there, I saw that Puka came off of IR. He's still on my IR, but I
Yeah.
saw something saying he was coming off of IR and that he was going to be a game time decision for today. I told you, everybody else doesn't know, but I had to leave. I had to leave halfway through my Zoom call. Katie drove. We had to go to a tennis banquet tonight. So, and I was
Okay.
like, oh, I'll check that again. Where I was at the tennis banquet, I didn't have any service. I was in the basement of Willie's, and I was kind of like, it didn't really matter to me anyway. But then, like, by the time we left there, the game was starting, and then it was like, oh, he's gonna start, and I would have had to drop somebody from my team to put him in because he's on the IR, and so
Oh
I
yeah,
was
tough
like,
choices on your team. I mean, really, you don't need 3 quarterbacks, Kevin. So I'd say Cousins has to go. You can't drop Darnold because he's already started. So you have to
Dave,
wait till next week.
well, I gotta wait till next week anyway. I mean,
Oh, because
why? Puka's already
oh yeah, that's true.
you play.
That's
It
true.
doesn't matter. So, yeah. So then in chat, like I just jumped in before we went on air, to basically say, hey, Puka and Darnold are going to have great games today
Yep.
because they're on my bench. And
Yeah.
so as of recording this right now, Nakua has 7 points and Darnold has 16 points. And that's not like crazy, but it's probably better than anybody on my team's going to do. So, and
And
it's
there's still
still
7 minutes left in the second quarter.
yes, and we're only midway through the second quarter. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So let's jump into the rundown, even though some of these games have
Okay.
started,
Yeah, they
and
have.
see what these matchups are. If you haven't read Dave's write up, make sure that you check that out. It's really good. He talks about what we've got going on for week 8, and
Spoiler
so and
alert, there could be
what
a little tombstone in there. There could be a
could
little
be a little.
tombstone in
I picked it up. I picked it up. So and we talked about this before. We didn't get nothing came to fruition. We've got another one of these weeks coming up here, week 13, but week 8, no one's on bye.
Yeah, we didn't. We talked about trying to do
No, but I
a
just mean
side bet with that.
for matchups. It matters though.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got everybody available unless they're hurt.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah. Well, that second part is the big kicker.
yeah,
Is a
but
lot of
don't you
people are
think
hurt.
we should see more scoring this week as far as like between matchups because you've got all of your healthy players
Yeah.
available to you?
Yeah. You like probably won't have, quarterback. You shouldn't be starting
Yeah.
a Daniel Jones like somebody was forced to last week. So,
So Dave, who's playing Travis this week?
oh, some poor schmuck, whoever it is.
Hey,
I got a
Kyron's
10
already
point
got
lead.
you a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna milk this lead. Stall. Let's
Yeah.
just
So,
yeah. No,
man,
I mean, what do you
how do
do
you feel
facing
about?
Travis? He's good.
I mean, Lamar and Henry versus Cleveland. How you feel that's going to go?
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is, yeah, I don't. They go up early and then they can rest
I don't know.
both people in the fourth quarter. I don't.
Jameis looked
Yeah.
okay. He might get
No, he
Cleveland
did. I
going.
think, and Baltimore doesn't. I mean, they've let people. Bengals scored a bunch on them. Tampa scored a bunch on them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
But
they might just run it with Chubb to slow the game down.
Travis is the favorite until he proves us otherwise. Is that the way?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
he's like I'm sitting here thinking that I got to get to 130 to even have a chance.
how did you get your lineup all the way to 109, and why do you keep on going back and forth between quarterbacks? Are you happy that
Well, he's
Jaden Daniels is
I don't even
hurt
know if
so
he's
you
going to
don't have
play.
to? Are you happy that
Yeah,
he's
I
hurt
think
so you don't have to
I
even think
don't
about it?
I don't know. I want to play, you know me. I want to play the guy that might
Fast young
run a
quarterbacks that run.
60-yard. Yes, I want to play them so bad, but Love's probably a smarter play most weeks, but
Yeah.
I just don't have it. I want to play the shiny toy. But
Yeah.
this week it's back to Love because I don't know if Jane's going to play. So yeah, that might help me.
All right. And then we got the battle of the ex-neighbors. They're not neighbors
Yes.
anymore, but Ed versus Adam, and
Yeah.
Ed's got somebody in action tonight, but
Yeah. And he made a move, a rare move. He picked up a wide receiver.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, he's right there engaged. Adams had, he scored 100 2 weeks in a row, and but Ed just keeps finding ways to win. He's got 5 freaking wins.
I think Judy's stock goes up with Winston throwing the ball to him.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah. So, yeah.
So yeah, and McPherson is due. So
Yeah. So, are you ready to root for Ed, or are you rooting for Adam? Are you worried that are you wanting to catch Ed, or
no,
what's your thoughts
Ed's
this week?
too far in front of me, so I'm rooting for Ed all day long. Plus,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I learned my lesson, so
I'm just trying to figure out your strategy here.
I don't have one.
Okay. Fair enough.
Let's see, where's Brian at? Brian
is
off
going
against off while coaching
off
kids.
while coaching kids. That's got to be one of the worst. Heat off while coaching kids. That's like you could get arrested for that. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to be around children. Oh man, Junior.
Time Time
Jeez.
has Justin Jefferson. He doing anything tonight?
He's already got 74 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. There's still 5 minutes left in the first half, so he's on pace for 15 or so.
And man, has Stroud Houston's doing okay, but Stroud has underperformed as a quarterback this season.
Yeah, I think he's maybe because he's just doesn't have the go-to wide receiver. He's got a bunch of decent guys, and when you got your Mixon, just hand it to Mixon. He's doing all the work for you.
Yeah, and I mean he's 10th. It's not like he's terrible, but he just
had a bad week last week for sure.
Yeah, and then he'll just have
yeah,
and he's had 3 20-point weeks, but it's the 16, the 13, the 18, the 5. Those are killers.
Yeah,
I think because we were thinking, oh, he's going to be
30, 30.
Yeah,
but I mean, outside of a few, that quarterback's been, as well as anybody, quarterback's been tough this year.
Well, they've all been so inconsistent. And so if you've got a platoon of quarterbacks, who do you play?
Yeah.
So
then
I think that
then you look at the waiver wire and you're like, for the first few weeks, people were just watching Geno go crazy or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they pick
Or
him up and he does
Baker.
halfway. You know, it's
Yeah.
Baker. Like it's just tough.
So, but yeah, I mean, this does not look good for Junior. This
No,
matchup.
no,
Yeah.
it's yeah. But he's right. I
So,
mean, he's 3-4. He's in ninth place. He just needs a win, and he's right back in the thick of things. But it's going to be tough against
yeah.
Brian this week.
And then we've got
Bad matchup.
Sundance Kid versus Show Me Your TDs. You were saying this was like an easy, like, oh, Brennan's the new Ed. Not because he doesn't start people, just because his team sucks. And you're like, but Lee's got so much
he's
uncertainty.
He's got
on
work
his
to
team.
do he's got 2 zeros there that he's got to deal with before they start, which he probably will. But Brennan's projected at 98, and I don't think that's a fluke. And we all he's got Dak back in the lineup when
Dak could go for 30 any game.
Yeah, and he's got Hunt's healthy, Cook's healthy, Hill. If Tua Tua's maybe playing.
Did you hear what Hill said? He said, "I'm back." What he say is like,
yeah,
start me.
I mean, ESPN sure thinks he's back because they wouldn't have put Hill at 12.3 if it was not Tua playing quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, no, his lineup's fine. He's got a couple Packers against Jacksonville, Jets, but they're going against a bad offense. So, I mean, definitely could be a bounce back week for the Sundance Kid, and he needs it.
Yeah.
Needs it.
I've got to go up against a guy who does nothing but carry boats for a living.
He does carry boats.
Why didn't you say anything about that for his job?
Well, I don't really know how you make money carrying boats.
Oh, I don't know.
He was one of the few people that actually knew what he did.
Oh, okay. There's no time in the world where you want to go up against Josh Allen, so I'll just say that.
No, yeah. He's been up and down, and they've had a lot of handoffs to Cook some weeks, but he's still Josh Allen. He could still run it, for a touchdown from anywhere, and
yeah.
So yeah, and then you're going back to Caleb Williams. Look at you.
Well, I picked him up on his bye week with hoping that nobody else would, just so that I could start him this week. That's just why I have 3.
I mean, I think the Bears they're on the rise. I think
I'm back to the 2 quarterbacks that I drafted.
You are, and that's
plus one.
It's funny how people keep going back to the same. Well, I just saw that that Adam, which we already talked about, but he picked up Roschon Johnson again. And he's starting him. He's a backup running back, but he's scores sometimes. So it's like when you're struggling to find a second running back, you go with who you know. He got a touchdown for him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, just theoretical. You know Adam pretty well. You know Travis.
Yeah.
You think Travis would let Adam have DeAndre Hopkins? Now that he's a Kansas City Chief?
For the right price. Travis would trade anything for anyone at any point. He just loves the trade. He just loves to do it.
What's the price for DeAndre Hopkins now? What's his value for Kansas City? Is he going to be the silver bullet? Is he going to be an answer?
Since I have no allegiance to Kansas City or anything like that, I would totally be in a wait and see mode. Like, okay. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he's a possession guy. He's not going to get thrown to 10 times. He's not going to go for 150, I don't think, and I think he's still going to spread the ball around. He might catch a touchdown pass for 7 yards and get 30. I don't know. I can't see him being jumping up and being the number one like other teams treat a number one.
Travis doesn't need both Kansas City wide receivers. He's got Worthy and Hopkins now. So, I mean, for the right price, Adam, if you're watching,
that'd be like starting Dobbs, Wicks, like any of those Green Bay guys and starting both of them. It's how do you know?
Yeah. Can you help me understand why does my Green Bay wide receiver all of a sudden suck so bad?
I just think it's they rotate around who's going to do good.
Last week we were talking about this. So there was a lot of people with bad wide receiver numbers.
Yeah.
But I had 0.5 0.5 points between 3 wide receivers. I've never seen that, Dave.
That is, and they all played. I
They
think the
all
whole
played
game.
No, somebody came out, but
One of them get hurt. I don't
let me go.
remember.
Let me go back and look at mine. Yeah, Juju got hurt and left the game.
Oh yeah. That's true. But
so
tanked.
he got targeted 4 times.
Okay.
And he missed all 4, I think. Watson might have left the game as well. But let me just, or just was just terrible. Watson had 1 reception on 2 targets for 9 yards, and he must have had a negative running play or something because he got 0.5 points.
Did he fumble? Or the math wouldn't work on there.
No.
Because it'd be -2. So
yeah. Well, he had 1 rush for -4 yards.
Oh. Yeah,
and then
it's tough to win when you get.
Tank Dell had 0 receptions on 4 targets. Yeah, man, that was a brutal. I mean, I win that matchup if I get any production from those 3 wide receivers. I mean, like 6 points a piece gets me a win probably, or whatever.
You probably don't even want to look and see how many free agent wide receivers would have got you points.
I already looked.
There probably was 15 of them.
All of them. Yes, all of them, Dave. So
oh man.
You know, I don't know what you say. So we're halfway through the season. We're halfway through the season. What are your thoughts?
You know, I wish I had in front of me our predictions that we, several of us did to see what, where we'd be, whether it be Travis, Ed, Brian, me. Do you think that would be the top 4 of what people thought was going to happen? Then we have tiers. We had like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we had some tiers.
So would Travis, Ed, and Brian have been in all the top 3 tiers? I don't think so. Because we were all pretty low on Travis, stupidly, and I doubt if any of us picked Ed, just out of, history of whether or not he would follow through. Brian, we probably had high, some of us.
Yeah.
I was probably more middle for most people.
So, yeah, what is it here?
I don't know where you had all that, but yeah, just
So
I think
our power rankings after week 1, I believe, was Brian, Adam, Josh, and Kevin.
Okay.
So,
well, 2 of those are dead wrong.
Yeah.
Right now. I was thinking more. Remember me, you, Rennie presented.
Yeah. I was trying to see where I had that. I thought I had that saved in my notes. I couldn't find.
All right, find it for next week if you can.
Yeah, we'll have to look at it and see where we're at.
Posted.
Yeah.
Probably in the group chat
it
somewhere.
Yeah, it is. We had it.
Okay.
But so yeah, real interesting. But yeah, I don't. It is like we've been talking about it for the last couple weeks. We have a log jam in the middle.
Yes.
A lot of people with similar records, but a big points disparity. So it's it's one of those things where one single win in a week can really move you quite a bit because we have so many teams at 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean it's
7 teams at 3 and 4.
The bottom 4, outside of me and my anomaly with more wins than I should have, the bottom 4's number, like points for numbers, are way lower than it's like you got Rennie at 674 and you got Junior at 603. That's 74 point. There's 70 point difference.
Yeah, but it's the,
You
you
know,
know, and I understand
they
what
need
you're
to
saying,
string together 2 wins to get past.
but it's the same amount of wins from the 5th place team all the way to the
And I guess
11th
that's,
place
yeah,
team.
that's true.
So
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 they would
so
pass
so
them up in wins.
so any given week, a win can really shift you forward.
Yeah. But then as soon as one of those lower teams, if they lose again, they'd probably drop right back
No,
down.
you need to
So
string together, but
you need
you
at
need
least
to
2
string
wins to
together
stay
some
up there.
wins.
Yeah.
You just need to string together some wins. But it just means that other than outside of Brennan, and like I don't know if you looked at this, Dave. This is really interesting because ESPN probably knows some things or figures some things. So let me just share this with you, okay? Travis's playoff percentage is 99%, locked in, right?
Okay.
Percentage of making the playoffs. Have you ever looked at
Okay.
this?
I don't know how they come up with it, so I don't know how much I trust it, but
Okay.
I guess it
So
makes sense.
Ed's chance of making the playoffs 94%, just based on
Yeah.
his wins and how he's
They
doing.
don't know Ed.
Yeah. Okay. Heim time 89%. You at 88%, even though
Okay.
that you've struggled, but
Yeah.
you have more wins than some of these other teams,
Yeah.
and you're a game up on Andy. Okay.
Yeah.
Andy, it drops from 88% where you are to 67%. But here's the kicker, okay?
Wow.
Ratty's below him. He has less points than him, and he's coming off a loss. But ESPN likes Ratty 73% to make the playoffs over Andy.
What do they know that we don't know?
You know, so something. Okay, now
Then
here's the thing that's crazy. Okay,
yeah.
Lee underneath that 48% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. So and Lee's lost 3 in a row, so I think they're saying,
Yeah.
man,
Okay. Momentum,
yeah.
negative
Okay.
momentum.
So that one makes a little bit more sense. No offense, Lee. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say you're gonna. Okay. Rennie is above Lee in the percentage of making the playoffs. He's in 57%, but Rennie's lost 2 in a row. So okay. Junior 44% chance to make the playoffs, even though
Yeah.
he's in 9th place, right outside the playoffs. They're saying him 44% chance. Okay, look at mine. Tell me what it
Yeah.
is, Dave.
You have 2 less points than Junior and the
Yep.
same number of wins, and they think that you're gonna like
I
by
have a
far
better
have a better
chance of.
chance.
Let me list the names of the teams that have a better chance of making the playoffs. Then Lee, Rennie, Junior. Almost as much chance as Andy, who sits at the very top of that. And
Yeah.
so really interesting. Adam, 45% chance, even though he's won 2 weeks in a row
Yeah.
and is
Why didn't that jump up more?
okay. And then Brennan has a 34% chance of making the playoffs. So again, that none of that means anything. It just is funny kind of how that ESPN versus on their power rankings still thinks that I will finish 7th. And obviously, they think Travis will finish first, and they think Ed will
Yeah.
finish second, and Brian will
Yeah.
finish third, and they have you finishing 4th. But they have a bunch of things going to get shuffled up in that 5
Yeah.
through 8,
That's
5 through 10.
that's so brave of them to predict 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to
Yeah.
finish what they are currently.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
So-
really going out on a limb there.
So that's just
Oh,
interesting.
gosh.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying I'll buy into it. I would love to. I have that kind of confidence in my team. I think that I've, had a couple
So
bad
these are the
weeks and-
same Wizards that had Junior at the beginning of the season projected number 1.
Don't make me close this laptop on you, Dave. All right. Hey, they're selling me some.
Now they're projecting him to finish 11th.
They're selling me
and,
a story, and I'm buying into it.
Yeah. So they had Junior going 1, and they had Andy going 2, which Andy could still rise up, but Junior's not getting all the way to 1.
Yeah.
Sorry, Junior. Go back to dodgeball.
Yeah. So, well, guys, we super appreciate you waiting a day to watch this. I had this thought. The place where I was at, I had 0 cell phone service. I could barely get a text message out, and I had to go hike up to the top of this hill to get any reception at all. But if I would have had just a little bit better screen service or like phone service, I thought about doing one thing. I thought about taking a screen grab from one of our old episodes where it's just you and me like in the box together. And like on YouTube, you can, instead of like it doing a thumbnail like based on the video, you can like pick one, like upload one.
Okay.
And I was gonna just make like a 30-second video of me just saying how bad you sucked and like, you know, just, I don't know, ranting. And I was gonna like drop it last night, early this morning, just like we normally do. And like people would have been like, "Oh, Kevin lied. There's a podcast here," and it would have had the intro, like the, you know, and then went straight into like, "Oh, hey guys, sorry, not really doing the podcast yet. It's still tomorrow. FYI, Dave sucks." And then just the outro.
I mean, I wouldn't have been more surprised if I woke up with my face sewn to the carpet.
All right, Clark.
So I don't know if you know, just in case you were wondering, you know, Wyrat couldn't make an appearance. He's still dealing with the getting shot a couple weeks ago by, you know, none other than Johnny Ringo Rat. So he apparently scoring 74 points, even though he got a win, it's not enough to put the hat back on.
and I talked to Rip, and he was like, "Good thing I didn't show up last week, you pansy ass." He's like, "You went and wet the bed."
Exactly.
And so he was like, "Talk to me after you've won a few." So
okay,
I don't know. I'm getting a little afraid. Like,
but I have to say, there's a pretty good chance that the Hat and Mustache make an appearance if somehow Wyrat can take down the first place team.
If Lex goes down, I would expect that Wyrat would show up.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Now, here's something I was going to mention this. I'm a little scared. I don't know how you feel. I might not see Rip again all season.
There's a good chance of that. Not if you have to string 2 wins together to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean,
man, you can turn it around. You're going to make some great picks. This week, Caleb Williams is going to have 3 touchdown passes to DJ Moore and 1 to Swift, and so.
Well, that's not nice. I mean, Andy's trying to raise money for Young Life. He's putting on this night golf scramble that a bunch of us hillbillies are going to play in.
Oh yeah.
And then you haven't told us, Dave. Why are you in a hotel?
We're killing things at a place up here that makes food. We're killing bugs. Got it under gas right now. All the way up here in Marion, Ohio.
That's what you told Michelle?
That's what I told her, and that's what I'm sticking to. And, you know, she doesn't watch this podcast, so that's good.
When you were saying that, it reminded me of the song. Have you heard the song "We're Killing Strangers"? I think it's in the John Wick movie. It's like a song that plays in maybe John Wick 1.
Okay.
We're killing strangers so we don't kill the ones we love. Oh, man, that's a great song.
I'm just killing bugs and rodents. That's all I'm doing.
All right. Yeah. Well, hey, if
let's wrap this up.
Yeah, we got to get off here. Hey, everybody in our chats always talk about, if you haven't watched The Penguin, check it out. I think it's super good. It's really good. Yep. So, all right. Well, good luck, everyone. Andy, you're such a nice guy. You have us at your house all the time. I can't root against you. I mean, good luck this week. What else am I going to say?
Yeah.
All right.
You might as well try that, because wishing people not good luck hasn't worked for you.
It hasn't worked. So, all right, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. All right.